Welcome into this Lion Legend feature. Brenda Mays is up next, a native of Corinth, Mississippi, a two-year letterman at North Alabama, where she was a part of the first Gulf South Conference championship-winning women's basketball program. Made it to the Ncaa tournament for the first two times in program history. Scored over 919 points in her career in just two seasons. A member of 6 Hall of Fames, she went on to an outstanding coaching career. Brenda Mays, thank you for being our Lion Legend.
Thank you for having me.
Let's start off. Just give UNA fans an update on where life has taken you now.
Well, I am currently the head women's basketball coach in Mississippi at Northeast Mississippi Community College. So that's where I am now.
Great playing career at North Alabama, long successful coaching career at Muscle Shoals. As we get ready to dive into your career and your background, UNA, the Shoals area, just what does it all mean to you?
I actually spent more time there than I did at home. I know once I came back to accept this position, we were counting up the years, and so actually I had more years there than I did here. So the Shoals area is really my home as far as years, but I'm back at home where I grew up. So.
All right, let's dive into it. Let's go back to your time growing up, Biggersville High School. What was the early athletic experience like for you?
I had the opportunity to play under a super person, not just a coach, but a super person in Myrna Paul McNair. She was my high school coach. Actually, in junior high, she was my history teacher. So I took history and physical education under her, and she was my coach all during my high school career. And actually, she watched my games when I played here. When she wasn't coaching, she came to a few games when I played at North Alabama. And she also came to games as I coached at Muscle Shoals High School. And believe it or not, she actually come now that I'm coaching here. She hasn't missed a game that was at home. So she is one of my #1 fans here, besides my family.
What all sports did you play coming up?
In high school, I only played basketball, and I ran track, and I did softball during the summer because we didn't have softball in high school. So I played on my uncle's team, a little team that he played in the summertime. So that's what I played in high school.
What were some of the accomplishments in memory from your high school playing days?
Well, I remember as a middle school student, my sister played high school, so I got to play 2 years with my sister. So I actually was a middle school student practicing with the high school. So I love the sport. I'd even travel to games with my coach. And so one of the best experiences, I guess I would say, was being able to play with my sister for a couple of years. She was, other people say, my bodyguard. She was so protective of me, but it was a great experience to play with her. And a lot of my cousins that I played with in high school. So I was able to be given an opportunity. I know one of the things, the class before me and the class after me, my high school coach let them try out for cheerleader. I thought I was going to be a cheerleader too. And her question was, do you want a scholarship? I said, yes, ma'am. She said, well, we're going to leave that cheerleading alone. And I said, okay. So I didn't go that route. So that was a plus. So I was able to earn scholarships to continue my career playing basketball.
So it certainly paid off. You go to Northeast Mississippi Community College. Prior to that, though, when did college basketball become something that you realized you were going to be able to go on and do?
Well, I actually grew up, being in a country atmosphere, playing in the country, playing with my brothers. My goal coming up was when they played pickup, be able to be chosen not last because I was a girl. So, we had a telephone pole with a goal on it. And so they ran me into it a couple times, but I stayed true to fact. So I guess I got my background from playing with my brothers growing up in the country. And so the love of the game just continued when I went to the school. I'm sure I knew when I was a 7th grader that this is what I wanted to do. And I actually wanted to grow up coaching physical education, teaching physical education and coaching someday. So that's where I got my start.
2 years at Northeast Mississippi Community College. Take us through some of the high points.
I was fortunate to play for Coach Ricky Ford, which is now the president here at Northeast. And so I was able to join him. Some of the highlights were actually I was his first recruit. When I came here in 81, the coach before had resigned, and Coach Ford, Ricky Ford, came in, and I was his first recruit. So I came from a good program, so the hard work didn't bother me. So I was excited, and he was hard, and as an administrator, he's still hard. So we, and yesterday was actually his birthday, so I sent him a happy birthday. But he add to my basketball knowledge what I already knew. Um, my first year, we had a decent year, and then we got able to go to the state tournament and being able to make the all-state team for the MACJC at that time. And he, the second year I was here, he actually moved me from the post to perimeter because the young ladies that were recruited, he told me, he said they don't play the area like you. This is the only place they can play. And I know you can move out to do that. And you're a leader, you can handle that. So I accepted what he told me, and that actually helped me as I moved my path on to North Alabama.
Now, one of the things I read when reading through your bios, you also played on the first softball team at Northeast Mississippi Community College. What kind of softball player were you when you played?
I was pretty decent. I was actually a pitcher, and I played first base, and every once in a while to go to the outfield. I know my tenure here playing both sports, I was actually received the Tigerette Award. So for being a dual sport athlete. So I only played that 1 year, but it was the first year they started. So that was a good experience. I had good teammates, and we had actually advanced to the playoffs. So we're excited about that experience.
2 years at Northeast Mississippi Community College. When did North Alabama start coming into the picture?
Well, Coach Wayne Bird is who I played under, actually recruited me from Northeast. He actually came to my home, to my mom's house. And he said, we would really like to have her come play for us. And my mom's words were, I just want my child to be taken care of. And so coming from a small school, I'd never really gone outside Mississippi except for being born in Florida and my mama moving back to Mississippi. So it was she said, as long as she's taken care of, I have no problem. So he started recruiting there. He said, yes, ma'am, I will take care of her. And she took him at his words, and so did I. And so he said, I just want you to play hard and do what I ask you to do. And he said, we shouldn't have any problem. That's what his words were. So I had a great experience. He was the type motivator that pushed you to your limit. You know, if he said you couldn't, I was the type athlete, if he said it couldn't be done, I wanted to prove it wrong. But that was his form of motivating. And even when I see him now, he said, Brenda Sue, my name's not Brenda Sue, but that's what he says, Brenda Sue. He said, you were pretty good. You know, I enjoyed coaching you, but my name is Brenda Ann, but he always called me Brenda Sue.
Well, he was certainly right. You guys had a great 2-year run. You arrive with another JUCO teammate, LaCondra Corin, and she played at Northwest Mississippi Community College. So did you guys have any JUCO battles before you arrived at North Alabama?
We did, and she is one of my closest friends now. We don't talk every day, but when we talk for 4 or 5 hours, and we try to see each other, once a year if we can. And she and I played on the All-Star team together, and she tickles me. We talk about the story. She said when she was recruited to go to North Alabama, she didn't know anybody, and she said, when I heard you were going over there, I thought, okay, now I know somebody. And she said that made the transition a lot easier. And we actually got to be roommates 1 year. So we had a great experience, and we still keep in touch now. When she was in Germany, we'd call every once in a while. Now she's back in the States, and we've actually spoken 3 or 4 times since she's back in the States, and we've actually seen each other twice. So like I said, when we see each other, we talk for hours. Her husband says, y'all can't get caught up in one day. But we still had a relationship, and it was a great opportunity playing with an athlete of her caliber.
Year one, you guys go 25-5. You make it to the Gulf South Conference Tournament Championship, an NCAA tournament appearance. We're going to jump into that in just a second. Renee, Cody was on those teams as well. All three of you guys were inducted into the UNA Athletic Hall of Fame. So you guys arrive as newcomers that season. What were the early days like as you guys geared up for that great run?
Competitive. We had a 6 p.m. practice. One of the stories we laugh about, one day we came to practice and we weren't doing what we were supposed to do, according to Coach Bird. And he said, y'all just get out of the gym. Y'all go ahead. I'll see y'all back at 10 o'clock. This is 10 p.m. So we had to come back to practice, and we all looked at each other and said, we're not going to let this happen again. So, we being able to play with Renee was, she was a point guard, was a great experience. I still talk to some of the other players. Glenda, she's Glenda Long now. She was Glenda Mills when she was in school. Gloria Walker, and she was Gloria Bush. Played with them, and I still keep in touch with those women today. And the experience that we had, it was hard nosed. It was, we battled and practiced, and then afterwards we were okay. Sometimes you can battle and you have attitudes, but not with us. We played through that. We played hard, made each other accountable, held each other accountable, and played hard. And I think that was the result of the 25-5, the 19-8 the first year, and the 25-5 the second year.
Now, the story goes that Coach Bird never yelled at you. He would yell at the other players, but he'd never yell at you. And this is an opportunity for you to set the record straight on that.
Great. I'm glad you said that. Yes, he did yell at me. One game that sticks in my mind, Sharman Coley was the assistant coach, and Coach Bird was yelling, get wide, get wide, get wide. And I'm like, I'm almost out of bounds. What does he want? And I looked over there and Sharman, I said, what does he want? And she said, go toward half court. I said, okay. So once I did that, I moved up, but during the timeout, you get right up close to you. And he sort of pinched my side. He said, just do what I tell you to do. And I said, yes, sir. I didn't try to explain it or anything. I just said, yes, sir. And so let the record shows that he did yell at Brenda Mays. She got yelled at plenty.
There you go. So let's jump into the Gulf South Conference Tournament. Valdosta State would be a team that you guys would meet frequently during this run. You lose that year in the Gulf South Conference Championship by 1 point. Just that run and the experience of making it to the tournament, what are some of the things that stand out?
Oh, that just hurt us. That just really hurt us. We were so frustrated that we had lost that game. And LaConja and I said, okay, we get back to this point next time, this is not going to happen. And the preparation for the next year began after that loss. And so, our mindset was there, and we were going to do all we could to make sure we made it to that playoff. But one of the things that sticks in my mind was Deborah Benson was on that team. And we were at Valdosta, and LaConja said, we all got to be ready, got to be focused on what's going on. And Valdosta was huge. And when I say huge, if I'm a post, I'm playing against a 6'2", and I'm 5'10", stretching, 5'10 and a half, stretching all I could. And LaConja and I said, remember that we don't take our eyes off the ball, because, sometimes they just throw a bomb in there. And I can remember that day, we had the last second shot. And we were moving it around, trying to get it to LaConja at that time. And Deborah Benson went up for a shot. And when she got in the air, she didn't shoot it. She dumped it to me. I'm talking, it was like a bullet. But we caught it, and it made the basket, and we won the game. But I very easily could have not been ready for that. But that game was so important that we were all focused because we remembered how it happened the year before. And the setup that Coach Bird had put was work, but that was a group, you can say, one for all. And, we weren't individuals, we were actually a unit all together.
That first season, you guys also made the NCAA tournament for the first time in school history, a win over Alabama A&M before Valdosta State ended the season. But looking back now, how memorable is it to be on the first NCAA tournament team?
It's an accomplishment. It's something that, like I tell young ladies these days, when you get your degree, that's something someone can't take away from you. That's an accolade that can't be taken away. Something that you can cherish for, a lifetime. You can go back and reminisce with your teammates or reminisce with your coaches, and we laugh and talk about, the good memories. And I tell people all the time the path that I took to get where I am now, the schools where I went, Northeast and then to North Alabama, I wouldn't trade that for anything.
So that next season, you touched on this, you guys get Valdosta State back. You win the first ever Gulf South Conference championship. Any other memories from that championship game and winning the first in school history?
Um, hmm, and there are so many. I'm trying to think that one that stands out. We all talked about the conditioning that we did to prepare for that. Um, and they were like, one of the things that set out, we went outside the gym and we ran to the end of Pine, down the big hill to where the golf course is, and turn around and had to run back. And LaCondra had a stress fracture, on her legs, and everybody's like, well, LaCondra's not running, but she had to ride the bike every day. She said, I wish I'd been running with y'all, because I mean, Johnny Long had her on that bike every day. And during that time, I had pulled a growing muscle, and Coach Bird was like, why aren't you moving? And I was like, I'm hurting. I was like, I was afraid to say I'm hurting because I didn't want to sit out, but it was like I wasn't functioning right. And if you're not functioning right, you sub out, and I didn't want to sub out. And I was like, okay, we're too close. We got to fix this. So I had to do rehab. I had to get up early to go ice for that. I had to come in early to stretch. And all the players that year that maybe had a small injury, we did everything that we needed to do to get back in shape for that. And we just had a goal. We wanted to win that Gulf South Conference ring. We wanted to get that ring, and we were excited that we did. We laughed about the season and look back. We actually had an away game and came back, and we had exams the next morning. And so we were all studying on the van trying to get ready. And I actually overslept. And one of the girls like, are you not going to take your exam? And I was like, oh my gosh. And then I was like, I cried all the way there. And I was trying to take my test, and the teacher had to give me another test because that was just soaking wet, because I thought I wasn't going to get to make it. But of course I did, because academics was a big thing for me also. And so I went on and passed that. And then so that cleared that out of the way so I could focus on the game. And my years, I can honestly say my years at UNA, I wouldn't trade for anything. The coming from a small high school, and then at Northeast, it was like a family. And then once I got to UNA, it was like a family as well. And, everybody from the community to the faculty and staff on campus, they at the game, everybody knew who you were and support the program. And we had several loyal fans. And the thing about it, that continuity of the program, and then the continuity of the area. So we enjoyed it.
There's another first that your team accomplished that year after winning the Gulf South Conference Tournament Championship. You guys got to host a game in the NCAA tournament inside of Flowers Hall. I believe Mercer came, won that ball game in overtime. But what was the atmosphere and the buzz like surrounding that game?
Oh, the word the teenagers use these days, hype. It was filled. It was filled in the area, and I was like, oh my goodness. And the fans were excited. We were excited. The gym was packed. It was an opportunity, and how you say, we got that close. We wish we had gone further, but we were appreciative of where we had gotten, the things we had accomplished there at UNA. Heartbroken. I was just, just heartbroken. And, things like that, have an impact on your life, but it's also a life lesson. Sometimes when you give it all you got, and it doesn't happen, doesn't mean you weren't successful. So we had some success by reaching that point. We just had hope we couldn't go for it. So that was disappointing that we couldn't make that next move to the NCAA tournament.
2 years at North Alabama, 919 career points, over 400 scored in each season. A lot of firsts that you guys accomplished. You've coached a lot of players throughout your career, and they may not know what kind of player you were. Tell us about your playing style and how you scored.
Well, in high school, I was a post, forward and center. At Northeast, like I said, the first year I played on the inside, the first year, the whole time. And then the second year I moved out on the perimeter. And then when I got to UNA, I played a combination of both as well. I know when we played Craig Roden that coaches at Delta State, now he was at West Georgia. And he said, every time he sees me now, he's like, I remember you put up 31. I just knocking us out. He was like, we just couldn't even stop you that day. Running to some players that played at A&M when I was there. And it was like, we couldn't even stop you there. And then I'm like, oh, well, okay. The scoring was important, but the team concept was most important to me, but I understood that I'm going to score. I can remember here at Northeast, the men's coach, Richard Mathis, was like, why are you passing that ball? You're the scorer. I'm going to score when I'm open, but if my teammate is open, I'm going to let them score. So I don't consider myself a selfish player. I really consider myself a team player. And being a team player, I had several opportunities to score. My teammates like, hey, you hot, you just let it go. You just let it go. So, of course, I was aggressive on the boards, rebounding. So my philosophy on that was if my teammates shoot it, it's my job to make sure if it doesn't go in, I put it back in. I came in the gym, Coach Bird had me coming in the gym, and I had to make 300 shots. I mean, that's on my time. Not shoot 300, make 300, and make 100 free throws. And I think the most free throws I made in a row was like 92 for missing. And I was trying to get to the 100, but anyway, that was good. So that helped my percentage. But the thing that I try to tell athletes today, if you want to be good, you got to put in the extra time. And so I knew the coaches that I had were telling me things that were going to make me better. And so in doing that, that actually helped me in my scoring and also helped me in the rebounding.
Now, when you look back at that era of UNA athletics, the men's basketball team went on some great runs in the postseason as well. Football made an appearance in the national championship game. The success you guys have, what was the atmosphere and the vibe like as so many teams were having so much success?
It was great. We were supportive football program. The guys were supportive of the women's basketball. We were supportive of men's basketball. In the stands, rooting them on. It was even in some of the classes. I know I had swimming, and I took swimming with some of the football players, and we laugh and talk about it. Well, we all were trying to learn how to swim because I didn't know until I got to North Alabama how to swim. And so we laugh at treading water. And then I was like, okay, you laughing at me, but wait till you get out on the field. But I'll be there watching. So we were actually supportive. The athletic program was supportive of each sport. I can say that. That atmosphere, that GSC conference atmosphere was amazing.
So you finish up playing and then you slide into the coaching side of things. That next year you were a graduate assistant at UNA. What was it like stepping over from player into the coaching world?
That was the game. The love of the game was still there. Learning to do the recruiting process, and I can be honest. I know when I started recruiting, I'm one of them that when I played, I'm going to get my rest. I'm laying down and get rest. So now I had to make sure they're doing that, and so on the road recruiting, and I said, "Oh, I can't do this. I'm just going to high school. I'm not going to do all this traveling recruiting." And that's what I did. I got my certification to do high school. And then I thought, well, maybe one day it won't be so bad. Maybe that was just my player mentality about staying up late, and I can be, one that they can look at and say, okay, I've been there on both sides and I can understand how to do it. So I actually, the coaching part, I knew I wanted to hopefully make a difference in players' lives. Let them see that athletics can be your stepping stone to get where you need to be. And in actuality, it was my stepping stone to where I am now, because I came from a single parent, 5 children, and so the scholarship was my opportunity to make the next move. And so I worked to get that at Northeast, and I worked to get that at UNA. And then it opened doors for me to get a coaching job, teaching coaching job in high school. My advisor at North Alabama, his wife, both of them, Dr. Livingston, um, asked me to come in for an interview. And that's how I got hired at Muscle Shoals. And so from being a student in his class, he actually gave a recommendation for me in that position. And I was at home that summer, and they called me to interview for the job and told me that I had it. So I worked as a graduate assistant the first year, and then half and half the next year, and got hired in the program. So I went from a player to a graduate assistant coach into a high school coach. And so everything just fell in line.
So you started at Muscle Shoals coaching women's basketball, volleyball as well. We know about your basketball success, but your volleyball coaching career, a record of 1,143 wins to just 368 losses. Unbelievable. A run of 4 straight state championships. We'll get into that in just a second, but tell us about how you became familiar with volleyball and how you got your feet wet in the game of volleyball.
Actually, it started at when I was at UNA. Coach Andy Jones was the head volleyball coach, and she said, "Brenda, I need a favor," and I was like, "Okay," because we talked about how the programs just supported each other, and then she said, "I need some players to come in to play defense against my team, blocking especially," and I was like, "Okay, I can do that," and so I came in and played with them, and when you succeed at something, excitement builds up. So I was excited, I got that. Oh, I blocked it, pass like got it. I blocked it. And of course that made them a little bit tough. And next time they just won't put it down on me. But actually I got that experience to see how it should be played. And then once I got hired, I actually went and talked with her. And she gave me some pointers and things. And I actually talked to Randy Pettis, which was at Coffee High School. I talked with him about the game, and trying to make sure I knew what I was talking about. So I can remember one of my first group, we were coaching, and I had a player turn around and look up in the stands. I guess she was talking to a mom, which was a former volleyball player. And I turned around and I said, "If you want to be successful, you're going to pay attention to me. I do not want you looking up in the stands, because the only voice you need to be listening to is mine." And she was like, "Yes, ma'am." And then I thought, okay, that was discipline. That was a start. I had to let them understand, I may not have played, but I learned how to do what I'm doing. And so even as I traveled over the years, and some of the players on the state championship team, one of them said, I told them, I said, "I know your parents' voices. They make these little whistles, the little sounds to get your attention." I said, "And they are your fan base. They support us." I said, "You nod your head, but just do not turn your head and look up there." So they were united. Those had a runner up, and then those 4 state championships in a row, they were committed. We talked about commitment, about dedication, doing what's asked of you, not questioning everything. Those young ladies bought into what I was trying to teach them and their natural ability. And that's how that success started. Once they caught on, then the group before, the new ones come in, mentored, and then it just kept on. And I believe that's how our success came. trusted the system. They believed in what I told. They never questioned. They did what I asked them to do, um, and it paid off. And I just feel like my sense of athleticism for as volleyball is concerned is what carried over to make that a successful program.
Now, one of the things I've heard about your coaching style is that you never asked your players to do something that you couldn't do. So whether it was a mile run, that they had to keep up with you in your times. Where did that mindset come from?
Well, I've been taught early, if you want to uh, get someone to do something, show them that you can do it. And so, now that I'm older, my comments are, I'm 57. I've already done this. I don't have anything to prove. At this level, at the college, you should be there. But if they ran a mile, I ran a mile. If I had a slow person, I'd run in the back and push her to get where she's supposed to be. I used to run in the Jesse Owens races a lot. And so that kept me, I do. Even now I do. I don't move like I used to, but I can still do 3 miles. And so we do 3 miles. And I was like, this will determine whether you really want to be here or not. And if you can make it through 3 miles, then that lets me know you're willing to do whatever else I ask you to do. So I tell them, I'm not asking you to do something I can't do. And then actually, they start off, and on that second mile, I may run with them and have my assistant still doing the timing, to push them. And I'm talking, I'm actually holding hands and running with them, and let them know that, I want you to be successful. You being successful makes us successful. And so I wanted them to understand that I'm not going to ask you to do something that I can't do. And so they understood that, and it wasn't just words. They actually saw that in action.
Let's talk about some of the coaching highlights. In 1998, you won your first state championship. You guys have won four in a row volleyball state championships. The success as a player, playing for championships, winning a championship, shifting over, winning them as a coach. How was it watching your players accomplish those championships?
I was so excited for them. And whenever they got the trophy, I would stand back because I wanted them to have it. And then, of course, they would come to me to bring it. But I wanted them to understand this is what you work, all that hard work that we put in, the work that we've done. This is for you. You deserve it. You earned it, and you be proud of it. I know one of the people from the ABC Sports asked one year, after the first one, I think it was the third one, you won it 2 years in a row. What makes this one different? And I was like, some of the players may overlap, but they all have their teams. I'm a part of this one, but this is a different team because there were extra players that are coming in there. These were different responsibilities. Those that were rotating actually moved in so that they could be the leaders of that group. And some people are natural born leaders. Some people you have to teach how to be the leader. And they took that responsibility and they mentored on and on. So that was their prize. I know with that last one, we were actually down 0-2 for elimination. And I told those girls at that timeout, and they asked, and I still remember today, and they would tell you, I was like, we come too far to quit now. I said, this is not what we worked on to get here. We don't want to just get here. We want to win it. And when we went back out, it was like a different attitude. And it showed when they walked out of the locker room. I said, we're not walking out of here. We're running out here. They ran out. When we hit that floor, it just flipped. It turned around. And they were so excited. And that showed me that, when you really want something, when you think it's over, it's not over until it's over. And so that's what they proved on that.
Now at Northeast Mississippi Community College as the head basketball coach, as you mentioned, playing there, what's it been like coming home and taking over the program?
It was, I guess you say, could be a dream come true. If I'm going to come home to where I got to start and to see if I can make a difference in the program. And I was, of course, when I came after the recruiting period. So we actually finished that first year 11-12, But then the next 3 years were the turnaround. So I was able to implement my program. We got the right athletes in. They bought into what we were doing. Um, we made the playoffs. We played with some of the teams that have gone to the national team within a few points. We actually beat Shelton State, which was ranked number 4 that year. So we had some players that had a high goals, had set high goals and determination to make it to our state and regional playoff. We're still working on getting that state championship, but the thing about it is you come from a program where our president, Ricky Ford, now he actually has a national championship and a national runner-up, and he won several state championships. So we're trying to continue what he built. And he actually comes and talks to my players, and he tells them, this was my first recruit. We didn't win a state championship, but she was the one that helped set the foundation. So that was a compliment that I cherished that he made about me. So the transition to here now is, I think I've had the preparation to prepare me for this. And so you have your highs and lows, but it's been a great experience, and I've enjoyed the years I've been here so far.
Coach Mays, it's been great going down memory lane with you. Thank you for being our Lion legend.
Well, thank you for having me, Ben.